A short line on the official British royal website, important announcement at 6 p.m. No details, no explanation. The whole world waits anxious. Is this bad news or a major power shift? When the screen lights up, it's not Charles or Camilla, but William and Kate delivering a message that shakes everything. The Diana Initiative is not just charity, but the first step in the royal family's hidden power struggle. Comment 1, if you're impressed by how they are changing the monarchy. Comment 0, if you think this is just a power play. Like and subscribe to the channel to uncover royal secrets. The media and the public are both wondering, is it a serious health issue or a sudden shift in the royal structure? No one knows, which only heightens the tension. While all eyes are on the royal family members, something unusual is slowly emerging. William and Kate, despite being absent from a previous public event, are the ones who step forward to deliver the message. At the exact hour, the screen lights up, and it's not Charles or Camilla, but William and Kate who appear. No extravagance, no crowns, just a simple setting and a powerful message. William, without any formal greeting, speaks directly. The monarchy is not just a symbol, it is a responsibility. This is not defiance, but a declaration of a new vision, a renewed approach for the royal family. Kate continues, her voice calm but firm. This is not about tradition. This is about trust. These words not only change how the monarchy is perceived, but also lay the foundation for a powerful transformation. They do not demand loyalty, only sincerity. And in a world full of secrets and concealment, that is true strength. A pivotal moment occurs when Kate announces the Diana Initiative, not just to honor her memory, but to restore and leverage the legacy Princess Diana left behind. This is not merely a commemorative ceremony. It is a concrete action to protect and advance the values Diana fought for throughout her life. Beyond bouquets or annual tributes, Kate is committed to making Diana's voice resonate louder, stronger, and more enduring. Kate refuses to let Diana's legacy be distorted or forgotten. She is determined to bring real value to what Princess Diana contributed through tangible actions, not empty words. This initiative is not just a commemorative gift, but a bold step to continue the journey Diana began. What we are witnessing today is not a revolution, but a rebirth in how the royal family is perceived. And it is William and Kate, with their calmness and determination, who are shaping a new chapter for the British monarchy, one where responsibility and trust come first. This is a moment for us to reflect, to better understand these changes, and to consider the role of the royal family in the 21st century. The Diana Initiative is not just a charity, it is a powerful commitment to carry forward the values Princess Diana left behind: kindness, sincerity, and genuine care for others. However, this is not an ordinary royal project. Kate, as the founder and leader, is not merely leveraging a name, she is creating real change from the heart. From the very beginning, she made it clear that she would not stand on the sidelines, but would be directly involved in building and shaping this organization. There are no stage lights or formal public moments. Kate chooses to go to places where help is truly needed, women's shelters, low-income communities, and areas where care and attention can make a real difference. She does this not to attract attention, but because she understands it as her responsibility, a practical step to change the lives of those who need their voices heard. This echoes the way Diana worked. She was always close to the people, engaging with them directly, and Kate's actions not only continue Diana's legacy, but also carry her personal imprint, a path shaped to meet the needs of today's world. The strength of this initiative comes from Kate's direct involvement within the royal system. This is not an external project. It is carried out from within the monarchy, drawing power not only from the present, but also from the future of William, Kate, and their children. Diana used kindness as a form of resistance. Kate is using it to lead. Support for Kate grows rapidly. Social media is overflowing with praise, with many calling her the Queen of the People. But this is not just about nostalgia for the past. This is a moment witnessing a woman stepping forward as a future queen, not because of a crown, but because of the true leadership she is demonstrating right now. However, not everyone is pleased by this. Camilla, who has spent years trying to regain respect, feels uneasy. The fact that Diana, even in death, once again commands such strong attention has reopened old wounds. Yet it is the palace's silence that speaks the loudest. What do you think of Kate's actions? Is she truly acting for the community? Or is this a masterful power move to assert her position against the shadows of the past? Kate is doing what Camilla fears most, reviving Diana's glory to win the hearts of the people. The palace's silence now signals that a storm of power is about to unfold. How do you rate the poise of this future queen? Leave a 2. If you're convinced by Kate, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the palace's next counter move. There is no congratulatory message, no official support from King Charles or Queen Camilla. This silence feels like a profound response, a sign that tensions are quietly brewing behind the scenes. William and Kate have created a new wave, but not everyone in the palace is ready to embrace it. There may be no official royal praise, but this only highlights one truth. Kate is doing something different, not just for a royal event, but for the community. It makes people reflect and truly feel the power of genuine actions. William has clearly defined his goal not to seek approval, but to execute a strategy. Tensions with his father, King Charles, are rising as Charles feels his own spotlight fading. Rather than undermining the monarchy, William is working to preserve it. The tension escalates as Camilla reacts sharply to the Diana initiative, and Kate responds firmly that this work is about the future, not the past. The rift within the royal family becomes increasingly evident, and the media continuously reports on the quiet tensions unfolding behind palace walls. Camilla feels cornered as the Diana initiative commands all the royal attention, while William grows frustrated that his stepmother has turned their work into a political issue. The palace's silence only worsens the situation. Tensions reach a peak when King Charles demands an explanation about the initiative, but William refuses to yield, asserting that this is a matter of survival, not protocol. The meeting ends without agreement, and details of the dispute begin to leak, revealing that this is not merely a disagreement, but a power struggle between two generations. The Diana initiative has created a major turning point within the royal family, gaining strong public support with hashtags like "Royalty of the People" spreading across social media. People feel they have found a royal family that understands them. However, the question remains whether this initiative is truly about change or merely a power struggle. At first, Kate and William took genuine actions, engaging in charity work and climate negotiations, winning public admiration and strong donations. Yet behind the scenes, the palace's response was very different. William and Kate bypassed the royal system, launching the movement without informing King Charles or Camilla. This is not just a bold move, but a calculated strategy, making them an unstoppable force. The Diana initiative is not merely a tribute. It has become a weapon in the covert battle for control. Insider sources reveal that William and Kate aim not only to modernize the monarchy, but to reshape it in their own way. And to achieve this, they must sideline those who do not fit. Harry and Meghan, with their outspoken and independent voices, are the first targets. With Harry and Meghan gone, space opened up to build something new. Now, while Charles battles illness and Camilla strives to maintain her position, William and Kate are quietly seizing power, not by waiting, but through action. They have become the center of everything, the face of charitable work, the voice of the people, and the future of the crown. Yet they have done this in their own way, disregarding tradition, bypassing palace approval, and sidelining those who do not fit their plans. To the public, it may seem like service, but to those within the palace, it is strategy. They are not just rewriting the monarchy, they are quietly replacing it without seeking permission. Prince Harry supports the Diana initiative. What should have been a moment of unity instead touches a sensitive nerve for William. The statement, "Mom's legacy realized," draws global attention, but backstage it leaves William surprised and frustrated. A tense phone call erupts between the brothers, with William criticizing Harry for publicly making the declaration without prior notice. This dispute is not just a simple disagreement, but a profound power struggle between two generations within the royal family. Kate, caught in the middle, remains focused on the initiative, yet media attention on the family conflict only makes things more difficult. Previously, William and Harry had stood together to usher the monarchy into a new era after the death of their mother, Princess Diana. But now, something darker is unfolding. William is not just stepping up, he is pushing Harry out of his position, turning this minor dispute into a symbol of major change within the royal family. According to Harry, the clash between him and William stemmed from William's anger toward Meghan. He called her difficult, rude, and blunt. Harry saw clearly that his own family had begun speaking like the press. It wasn't just about arguments. Harry stated that palace staff turned against him and Meghan, spreading rumors to make them look bad, while William and Kate remained silent, offering no support. William and Kate had begun methodically paving the way to ascend. Anyone who didn't fit the image they wanted was quietly sidelined, and Harry, with his outspoken and unyielding attitude, became the easiest target. While King Charles battles illness, attention gradually shifts. William and Kate are moving closer to the throne, but to achieve this, they have had to clear the way, removing those who no longer fit their plans. Meghan was the first to leave, and now only two remain. No public declaration was needed. Through silence and subtle action, William created space for himself and Kate. Initially, everything seemed sincere. Kate engaged in charitable activities, visiting shelters, while William quietly participated in climate negotiations, listening like everyone else. The public loved that humility, and donations poured into charities with thousands ready to volunteer. But behind those actions, the reality was different, and both William and Kate understood that. They bypassed the royal system, launching a large-scale public movement without informing King Charles or Queen Camilla. This was not just a bold move, but a carefully calculated one. They knew the palace would be caught off guard. And indeed, they became the center of attention, not only prominent, but unstoppable. The Diana Initiative is not merely a tribute. It is a weapon in the covert battle for control of the royal family. Sources reveal that William and Kate aim not only to modernize the monarchy, but to create an entirely new image. And to achieve this, they must remove those who do not fit. Harry and Meghan, with their outspoken and independent voices, were the first to be sidelined. With Harry and Meghan gone, space opened up to build something new. Now, while Charles battles illness and Camilla strives to maintain her position, William and Kate are quietly moving into positions of power. Not by waiting, but by action. They have made themselves the face of all charitable activities, the voice of the people, and the future of the crown. Yet it is not simply about honoring a legacy. Kate is gradually preparing for the future, a future in which Camilla is uncertain of her place. Camilla, though holding the crown, constantly worries about losing power. And while Kate and William prepare for the future, Camilla continues to protect what she has claimed. The relationship between Camilla and Kate has not always been smooth. Although outwardly they may appear cordial behind the scenes, things can be much more tense. Camilla wants to maintain her influence within the royal family, especially as King Charles faces illness. However, Kate and William have an entirely different vision for the future of the monarchy. According to insider sources, once Charles abdicates, Kate and William may reconsider Camilla's role and potentially limit her power. This is certainly not a scenario Camilla desires. Despite years of striving to achieve her position, her image remains haunted by the past. The public still remembers her as the woman who came between Charles and Diana, and those memories continue to strongly influence perceptions. Yet the silence from Kate and William serves as a powerful tool for shaping the future. With each step, they are gradually sidelining those who do not fit their vision. They do not need to make public announcements or speak openly about the changes. Silence, outward respect, and discreet actions have made their work easier than ever. And when Harry stepped up to support the Diana initiative, it was meant to be a moment of unity. Yet behind it lay family tension. Harry's continual acts of defiance only made William feel more hurt. Although Harry said that Diana's work belongs to everyone, the confrontation between him and William became increasingly apparent. This was not just a simple argument. It symbolizes the power struggle within the royal family, a battle that not everyone is ready to accept. Kate and William are gradually shaping their future while Camilla and others cling to the past. Thank you for watching the video. You've probably noticed the royal family tensions and the major changes William and Kate are leading. Will they succeed in reshaping the monarchy? What will the relationships between Kate, Camilla, and Harry look like? Leave your comments below and share your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next videos. Turn on notifications to stay updated with the latest news from us. See you in the next video. In the shadows of royal power, deep secrets still exist. But when the fortress of silence begins to crack, the whole world witnesses a grueling battle between duty and life itself. The story of Princess Catherine is not just about health. It is a struggle between eternity and true humanity, one that has forever changed the image of the crown. Do you sympathize with this courage? Comment 1 if you admire it, or 0 if you have a different perspective. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can explore the mystery together. There are moments when time itself seems to stand still, when even the most solid stone walls of history cannot hold back the ripples of change. Buckingham Palace has just released a message that has shaken the hearts of millions. Gone are the rigid formalities of royal protocol. King Charles and Prince William appeared together in a rare moment of shared empathy, opening up about a profoundly challenging chapter in the life of Princess Catherine. For months, speculation hung over London like a thick fog. Yet when the truth was finally revealed, its weight surpassed all imagination. As the world holds its breath, the British royal family is confronting a stark reality, one where titles and crowns offer no shield against the unforgiving laws of nature. Before we unravel the deeper meanings of this turning point for the future of the monarchy, join us by subscribing to stay updated with the most authentic and insightful information. In a rare display of unity, the monarch and his heir stood side by side. On their faces, there was no trace of their usual majesty, only the weight of compassion. For an institution that has long held composure as its guiding principle, this moment marked a painful break from tradition. The words were spoken softly, yet their impact felt like a psychological earthquake. This was not an ordinary medical update. It was a vulnerable confession that shattered the illusion of perfection the palace had carefully upheld for over a century. William, long known for his steely resolve, now appeared with an emotion he could scarcely conceal. His voice, though still measured, carried undertones of uncertainty. King Charles, in a moment that transcended his role as sovereign, referred to Catherine as the heart of the family. This was not merely the voice of a monarch. It was the voice of a father watching a loved one endure the storm. That very sincerity sparked an emotional wave that resonated across the globe. From the flickering candles at Windsor to messages sent across oceans, the world is sharing a solemn, reverent silence. Everything has changed because deep down, we all understand this truth. Behind those gilded iron gates lies a quiet battle for peace. But what led to this heartbreaking turning point? To grasp the reality, we must turn back time to the moment when the first cracks began to appear. Princess Catherine's absence was initially regarded as nothing more than a routine period of rest. Yet as days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the silence took on the weight of unease. There were no casual photographs, no radiant smiles before the camera's hallmarks of Catherine's public presence. Her complete withdrawal from public life raised a pressing question: was something beyond control unfolding behind the scenes? Even the closest security staff and aides were enveloped in an atmosphere of strict discretion. Privacy was no longer a choice. It had become the final fortress protecting what mattered most. When official engagements were canceled without clear explanation, and when representatives began relying on vague language, the public understood they were witnessing something unprecedented. An anonymous staff member once remarked, "Things are not as simple as what's written in the press." Now, as part of the truth has come to light, we realize that the greatest value lies not in leaked information, but in the inner strength of a human being facing adversity. Catherine, the woman long associated with grace, is writing a new chapter not through visibility, but through quiet courage. Everything has entered a new chapter, one that cannot be reversed. The image of an unchanging, flawless royal family is gradually giving way to a different reality. Behind the velvet curtains of the palace, truth is no longer something that can be neatly packaged and controlled. As the outside world begins to connect the scattered pieces, it becomes clear that this is not merely a delay in a recovery journey. It is the transformation of a legend where royal splendor is being forced to confront vulnerability and deeply human fears. Now, Prince William carries more than the weight of a future king's responsibility. In the shadows of the long corridors of Adelaide Cottage, he finds himself at the very center of the storm as a husband. Sources close to him describe a profound psychological shift. The familiar calm has been replaced by a constant undercurrent of worry. For the first time in his life, diplomatic rules and courtly protocol have become meaningless. This is not a media crisis to be managed. It is a battle to protect the woman he loves most. A battle in which political power has no voice. William, trained from childhood to restrain emotion, now finds himself surrounded by a sense of helplessness before fate. On sleepless nights gazing out the window, he is not searching for political solutions, but for a fragile glimmer of hope within the frightening stillness of the house. The breaking point did not come from natural events, but from a collision between two worlds. On one side, an advisory machine steadfast in its belief in strategic silence, to preserve stability. On the other, the heart of someone living through the crisis. Heated debates erupted behind closed doors. Media experts worried about the turbulence of public opinion, but William saw something far more important: the dignity of truth. In a moment that defied all precedent, a private message was sent to the monarch, brief yet resolute. She deserves more than silence. It was a declaration marking the end of an era of forced mystery. William no longer cared about staged photographs or hollow press statements. His only concern was the woman who had walked beside him through life's highs and lows. As tensions reached their peak, King Charles, long known for his extreme caution, made a decision that would completely change the course of events. After witnessing his son's quiet pain and his daughter-in-law's resilience, every remaining barrier of protocol dissolved. In a historic meeting at Clarence House, the king affirmed, "No more hiding. Let the world see the strength of perseverance." This step marked a deeply human shift in power. After a brief private visit to Catherine's hospital bedside, the raw truth reached the heart of the head of the monarchy. What he saw was not a symbol recovering according to plan, but a soul striving to make its way through the valley of life's most grueling trials. When the king left Windsor with a pale face and a heavy spirit, the entire royal household understood the whispers were over, and a new reality had begun. The silence that followed was no longer meant to conceal, but a silence born of respect for a profoundly personal and courageous battle. Everything has truly changed, and history will remember this moment as proof that beneath the royal cloak, the heart remains the most powerful guide of all. In the quiet halls of the palace, an unprecedented struggle for power erupted, but not over the throne, rather over the truth. As cautious voices sought to wrap the situation in vague statements, King Charles exercised a rare prerogative, the decisiveness of a father. For the first time, he set aside all diplomatic convention in favor of transparency. This action not only sent shockwaves through those closest to the palace, but also healed a silent fracture. Charles and William, two generations of monarchy, found common ground in shared pain. They were no longer acting as king and heir, but as two men protecting a world threatened by an invisible adversity. Every word in the forthcoming message was weighed not to preserve appearances, but to honor the dignity of a mother and a wife fighting with resilience. Yet what the world is about to learn is only the tip of the iceberg. Confidential materials and first-hand accounts from insiders reveal a chilling reality: Catherine's trial did not begin recently. Signs of instability had already surfaced in late 2023, hidden behind troubling blood test results. For months, the truth was concealed beneath a veneer of stability. Why did the palace keep it secret? The answer lies in a harsh royal philosophy: the symbol must not be allowed to waver. Even as pain became part of daily life, Catherine continued to appear with a radiant smile, chair meetings, and lead educational initiatives. It was a silent sacrifice, where an iron will struggled to overpower physical exhaustion. Behind the stage lights, the velvet curtains concealed her weakest moments. There were times Catherine collapsed backstage at charity events, yet the swift motion of security and media transformed them into ordinary migraines. William witnessed it all, from worrying weight loss to long, sleepless nights. He pleaded with her to stop, but Catherine, bound by unwavering devotion to duty, refused. Catherine is not only battling adversity, she is fighting to uphold faith for an entire monarchy. This quiet sacrifice between the dazzling stage lights and moments of collapse behind the scenes paints a portrait of a figure far beyond ordinary protocol. Comment 2. If you feel moved and admire the steel will of this crown-bearing woman. Or comment 5 if you have a different reflection on the price she has had to pay. Don't forget to like and subscribe now to continue uncovering these inspiring archival stories and never miss another heart-stirring tale. The tension between an unfallible symbol and a human growing ever more fragile pushed the royal family into a precarious position. Senior aides feared that if both the king and the princess showed weakness simultaneously, the illusion of institutional strength would collapse. They chose silence to protect the throne, but forgot the price of isolation. Catherine's story is not merely the tale of a royal. It is a lesson on the limits of humanity when faced with a higher duty. As cameras prepared to capture historic footage, the world would come to understand sometimes the greatest strength does not lie in the crown atop one's head, but in the courage to face the truth, even when that truth has the power to change everything we thought we knew about a monarchy. For the sake of stability, a curtain of secrecy was drawn. Catherine accepted it, trusting that these trials were only a brief chapter in her journey of recovery. Yet time and the laws of nature wait for no arrangement. As the palace prepared to speak, reality had already moved beyond their control. The most loyal aides began to question, is silence still golden, or is it slowly eroding trust between an age-old institution and the public? William, torn between his duty as a prince and his heart as a husband, began to realize that the fortress of secrets was becoming a prison of pain. The throne built on influence and image now faced a cruel test of sincerity. Then, without any staged ceremony or coordinated press release, Catherine made a move that shook the nation. In a simple setting, a garden where the laughter of children once echoed, she chose to face the world directly. In just 94 seconds, the royal veil was completely pierced by a heartbreaking honesty. There was no royal glamour, no shield of advisors, only a woman speaking about the trials of her life with absolute clarity. She began with words of gratitude, but it was what came next that made millions of hearts stop. Every word Catherine spoke swept through the silence like a storm. She did not dwell on technical details, but spoke of family resilience and the right to retain a private space amid the chaos. Yet beneath that composure lay a profound emotion, a confession so sincere that it was clear this was not merely a medical update, but a deeply human sharing about the fragility of life. The world's response was an immense wave of emotion. From national leaders to ordinary citizens, everyone found connection through shared pain. Spontaneous candlelight vigils and quiet prayers were no longer for a title, but for a mother and wife, standing at the center of a storm, choosing truth over tradition. That moment has forever changed the image of the monarchy. The acknowledgement of vulnerability shattered the cold, distant facade, revealing the raw beauty of truth. Behind the scenes, emotional wounds remained. William, in an unrestrained moment at a public event, shed tears before the crowd, an unprecedented image in modern history. Even the press, usually relentless in pursuing every detail, chose to step back out of respect for this silence. They understood that this was no longer news to dissect, but a journey of the soul unfolding in real time. The monarchy has now transformed. It is no longer defined solely by titles or lineage, but by the courage to live authentically and embrace one's true humanity. Catherine's story is not just one of survival. It is a lesson on the cost of silence and the power of sincerity. She did what no royal symbol before her had dared, reveal the fragility beneath a radiant cloak. It is precisely this openness that has turned Catherine from a princess into a guiding soul, forcing a palace, once a fortress of secrets, to move in rhythm with her heartbeat. Yet while the world honors Catherine's bravery behind the heavy oak doors, another battle quietly ignites. This is not merely a fight against illness, but a struggle shaping the future of a 1,000-year-old institution. In strategic meeting rooms, the air is thick with calculation. Harsh questions arose. Who would represent the monarchy if Catherine's radiance receded? Old alliances fractured, and new schemes began to take root. Not everyone looked in the same direction, and not every heart within the castle beat in rhythm with the woman resting. As the reality of Catherine's absence became a daunting prospect, conflicting viewpoints collided. Some voices sought to fill the void with traditional rituals, aiming to maintain the monarchy's public presence. But this intervention met a steel wall of loyalty. Princess Anne and the Duchess of Edinburgh rose as guardians of Catherine's legacy. They understood that hastily replacing a symbol was not only a betrayal of familial bonds, but also an act that could destroy public trust. To them, Catherine was the last thread capable of mending a monarchy facing the fractures of the age. At the center of the storm, Prince William stood firm like a lighthouse amid turbulent seas. He rejected all contingency plans, all possible replacements, no matter how minor. To William, acknowledging a plan B would be tantamount to surrendering to fate, and that was something he would never do. His cold decisiveness before the advisors sent a powerful message. Catherine is not a pawn on the political chessboard. She is the soul of this household. Despite the crushing pressure to maintain the continuity of the institution, and despite drafts of task restructuring already laid out on the table, William chose to place his trust in the miracle of willpower. Then, just as the darkness of doubt loomed heaviest, a ray of light pierced the night. A new message emerged, not from aides but from Catherine herself. With heartfelt sincerity, she shared what once seemed impossible. There were signs of triumph in the battle. Her illness had abated. Light had returned to the eyes of the mother, the wife, and the future queen. She spoke of gratitude, of resilience forged through the darkest hours. Treatment had borne fruit, and life once again asserted itself against the cruelty of fate. Though the joyous news had arrived, shadows of the past left profound lessons. This crisis revealed a truth. The prestige of a monarchy does not lie in stone walls or noble titles, but in the human connection between its leaders and the people. Catherine has triumphed not only over illness, but also over outdated rules redefining the value of the crown. A new chapter is unfolding where strength comes not from mystery, but from sincerity and compassion. News of Catherine's remission spread across the world like a wave of quiet jubilation. The media called it a miracle, and social media erupted with prayers. Yet for Catherine, this was not a blazing victory anthem. She faced this reality with the insight of someone who had walked through the valley of darkness, not as a destination, but as a steadfast step on a long path full of uncertainties. Though now stable, the mark of stormy months still lingers in every gesture. Her voice, though steadier, carries the breath of someone who has touched the very limits of endurance. Catherine's candidness about her recovery process has received wholehearted support from the professional community. 6 yard. Within the palace, a new order had been established. Prince William, with devoted protection, set strict boundaries for his wife's return. Catherine reappeared still graceful, but carrying a more subdued and wise beauty. She no longer tried to force herself to shine. She simply existed, and that presence, though more delicate than before, held the power to ignite hope stronger than any speech. A moment touched the hearts of humanity, the image of Catherine walking hand in hand with her children across the school grounds. It was not a royal ritual, but a wordless message of life continuing. Beyond the palace walls, beyond noble titles, she was first and foremost a mother fighting to preserve her children's peace amid the storm. Yet behind that calm tension within the palace remained. Unanswered questions about the future still lingered. What would happen if darkness returned? These doubts were no longer brushed aside. They became catalysts for decisions that could reshape the foundation of an entire monarchy. King Charles, standing beside the heir, acknowledged a profound truth. Catherine's courage had redefined the image of royalty. She achieved what decades of protocol and ceremony could not, restoring humanity to the monarchy. Now power no longer lay in displays of authority, but in the resilience to endure the world's scrutiny while battling the fiercest personal wars. Immutable rules were quietly being adjusted. The palace no longer tried to maintain the illusion of eternal strength. They learned to accept vulnerability as part of evolution. Catherine's legacy would not be confined to royal procedures. She placed compassion at the heart of every action. Quiet visits, advocacy for mental health, and early childhood education now carried a more vivid meaning. She taught the world that strength does not always roar. Sometimes it is the whisper of a mother holding on to what is most precious. In the darkest days, she is said to have written private letters to George, Charlotte, and Louis, messages for the future if she could not return. Whether or not those letters were ever opened, they became part of the legend of a woman who stood at the edge and chose to fight. Catherine did not merely cling to her role. She turned her pain into purpose. Her battle may not be over, but her strength has redrawn the map of the monarchy's destiny. The world will never see her the same way again, for they have glimpsed the portrait of a queen in spirit, a woman who reminded us that even in adversity, grace and determination can create miracles. Catherine's journey is not merely the story of a title or a crown, but an epic of willpower, sincerity, and the cost of compassion. She taught us that the greatest strength sometimes does not lie in majesty, but in the courage to be vulnerable and honest with the world. A new chapter of royal history has begun, a chapter written in humanity rather than in rigid ritual. At this point, we want to hear from you. How do you feel about Catherine's inspiring journey of revival? Do you think this humanization could help the British monarchy remain resilient amid the challenges of the modern era? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We truly value every perspective. If this video has brought you special emotions or valuable insights, don't forget to hit like to show support for our content team. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss in-depth documentaries about some of the world's most influential figures. At 7:48 this morning, a moment marked the end of an era and the beginning of an irreversible turning point. Prince William, heir to the throne, broke the silence with a decisive move. The dynasty closed, all hope of reconciliation shattered. Why did William act so forcefully? Was it to protect his family or a declaration of the dynasty's survival? We will explore these history-changing decisions right here at Windsor. Comment 1 if you support 0 if you find it unappealing. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on the upcoming power secrets. Let's begin. Instantly, the world held its breath. For the first time in decades, major broadcasters paused their programming to air what veteran experts described as unprecedented. No more vague diplomatic rhetoric, no more appeasement delays. This message was personal and utterly decisive from William. From London to Los Angeles, from bustling newsrooms to millions of individual screens, a new reality had been established. In the United States, where royal narratives are always viewed through a deeply ingrained cultural lens, this declaration was seen as a complete redefinition of the structure of the monarchy. This was no longer a dialogue, but an affirmation of the institution's future. What surprised observers most was the absence of phrases like "at this time" or "in the present circumstances." In the dictionary of the monarchy this morning, only the concept of permanence remained. For those who had witnessed the crises of the past, William's steadfastness offered a thought-provoking clarity. Throughout the years, William had chosen to step back, allowing the institution to speak through carefully crafted statements. But today he personally signed the final chapter of a long-running controversy. This act was not merely an official announcement. It was a declaration by a future monarch of unity and the protection of the institution's core values. What prompted a man known for his meticulous planning like William to take this extraordinary step? The answer lies not in a single event, but in the accumulation of subtle shifts throughout the autumn of 2024. When diplomacy is no longer sufficient to maintain balance, and when spiritual values are put to the test beyond their limits, decisiveness becomes the only tool to protect stability. This is not an impulsive reaction, but the result of a profound process of reflection on responsibility and legacy. The door has been locked, and the key has been handed over to history. It is the culmination of a silent observation process when the limits of tolerance have finally been reached. Throughout the latter part of the year, an unusual pattern began to emerge, making Catherine unable to remain silent any longer. Whenever a significant initiative is launched or a community mission is launched, opposing streams of information immediately emerge. These articles don't come from transparent sources, but are hidden behind vague concepts like insider voices or anonymous observers. However, the timing of their release paints a picture of calculated intervention rather than random news. In a private conversation, Catherine pointed out the existence of an invisible hand pulling the strings behind these upheavals. This was no longer a natural flow of media, but a strategic campaign to obscure her devoted efforts. Witnessing his wife's devotion being undermined by deliberate manipulation, a new resolve formed within William. Meanwhile, King Charles was also facing his own challenges. He realized that the monarchy's valuable resources were being disproportionately wasted dealing with misinformation from distant sources. Legal experts and security teams had to work continuously to assess the risks from inflammatory content in the digital space. Meanwhile, the monarch himself was prioritizing his recovery, which demanded tranquility rather than relentless pressure. He felt caught between family affection and the responsibility of protecting the stability of the institution. Hope for harmony was real, but systemic paralysis was unacceptable. The real turning point came from a secret national security meeting. Authorities identified an organized pattern of activity targeting Catherine. These information campaigns transcended the boundaries of ordinary criticism to become a real threat to the credibility of the monarchy in the digital age. William received the report in a highly secure setting. Each page revealed a harsh truth about the origins of these psychological attacks. A significant proportion of the negative activities were confirmed to be linked to extremist groups from the opposition, turning William's suspicions into an alarming reality. The challenge extended beyond national borders. Delicate but serious questions began to emerge from major international partners. Strategic allies in Washington and Ottawa began expressing concern about the stability of the monarchy. They needed assurance that the symbol of the monarchy was strong enough to continue its role as a reliable diplomatic partner. This news came as a major shock to William. Understanding that the future of the monarchy rested on trust and global consistency, he knew that silence was no longer an option. His statement was not an immediate reaction, but a necessary act of self-defense to protect the institution's legacy from the storm. The upheavals involving members of the monarchy abroad were no longer mere entertainment news. They had now become a factor undermining the nation's soft power on the international stage. Princess Anne, with her practical and insightful vision, delivered a crucial wake-up call to William. She asserted that no one can protect everyone. At a certain point, a leader must choose between a constantly destabilizing individual and an institution serving millions. As winter descended upon London, William found himself caught in a maze of undeniable evidence. Psychological attacks on his family, the declining health of the monarch, and diplomatic risks threatened the nation's standing. The time for hope had ended, giving way to an era of permanent divisions. The first fundamental decision came from Princess Anne during a private meeting at Windsor. In the quiet space of knowledge and history, she did not resort to conciliatory words. She stressed that this institution required formal written and legal boundaries, not vague promises or expectations. Anne argued that without absolute clarity, all future interactions would turn into endless negotiations. Every silence would be interpreted as weakness, and every action would be dissected to search for hidden intentions. Please leave a comment with the number. If you admire Princess Anne's practical vision and determination in defending the institution, please leave a comment with the number. If you think she's too rigid and lacks the necessary empathy of a family, don't forget to press like and subscribe to the channel. Support us now, and make sure you don't miss our next decoding videos about the calculated moves of the royal family. Your interaction is what motivates us to uncover the truths hidden behind the walls of history. The only way to break the vicious cycle was to establish a new reality, a relationship with clear and public boundaries. William deeply understood that proactive clarity was the only weapon to eradicate ambiguity. The second decision stemmed from a comprehensive risk assessment by the palace legal team. The results of this investigation were truly alarming. If the ambiguity continued, the monarchy would face dangerous constitutional and security vulnerabilities. Experts warned of legal risks from unofficial statements and conflicts of commercial interest, damaging the institution's reputation. The longer the ambiguity persists, the greater the vulnerability of the institution. William understood that maintaining hope for reconciliation in a lack of transparency was essentially a far riskier gamble than a definitive split. The final, crucial element came from high-level diplomatic reports. International partners needed firm confidence that the monarchy was a symbol of stability and centralization. Prolonged internal turmoil had begun to erode the confidence of public opinion leaders and policymakers in allied nations. The issue has transcended the realm of a family conflict to become a major foreign policy concern. The government needs a decisive solution to maintain national prestige. William realizes that if he cannot manage stability within his own home, global partners will question his ability to shoulder greater responsibilities in the future. All these pressures have converged, leading to the historic declaration at 7:48 this morning. A drastic action to protect the future of the monarchy. When personal turmoil transforms into complex political problems, silence is no longer a safe haven. The final and most instinctive decision doesn't come from dry reports, but from William's heart. Throughout the final months of the year, he witnessed Catherine facing the storms of public opinion with a proud serenity. He saw his father shouldering the unresolved family rifts and saw the children growing up under the scrutinizing gaze of the outside world. At that threshold, William realized a harsh truth. The responsibility of protecting the peace of his wife and children had to take precedence over any fragile hopes of reconciliation. In a moment of quiet reflection, he admitted to Catherine that he could not repair what was broken and that continuing to try would only further hurt those he was obligated to protect. A historic declaration is never built on a blank slate. It is the convergence of four powerful forces. Princess Anne provided a sharp strategic framework. The legal team established a solid textual foundation. The Foreign Office affirmed the necessity of international standing. And finally, it was William himself who infused it with an unwavering personal resolve. As December approached, the question was no longer whether to act, but how to execute the most decisive separation. On the evening of December 1st, a small strategic council convened in his private study at Windsor. Though the fire still burned in the fireplace, the winter chill seemed to seep through the cracks in the doors, weighing down the space like a tangible entity. William arrived first, carrying a draft he had meticulously crafted over 48 hours. Every phrase had to carry the precise weight he intended, for it would shape his entire reign. King Charles entered, bearing the appearance of someone burdened by immense sorrow. In his eyes, one could see the pain of a father witnessing the irreparable breakdown of blood ties. Following him was Princess Anne, who firmly believed that an institution could only survive if it protected itself from constant upheaval. Emotions, however intense, should not paralyze the actions necessary to maintain stability. Catherine's arrival changed the atmosphere in the room. Although she rarely participated in strategic meetings, William needed her presence this time. She understood perfectly well that every decision tonight would directly affect the very lifeblood of their family. William began with a straightforward and decisive manner. He asserted that this was the final decision, with no room for reconsideration, no turning back as emotions cooled. After considering all options from reconciliation to gradually establishing boundaries, he concluded that the current ambiguity was the seed of perpetual instability. As the draft was passed around and silence fell, Catherine spoke in a soft but powerful voice filled with compassion. She reminded them of the profound pain this decision would inflict on those on the other side of the border. It was the moment when royal duty and human emotion clashed most intensely, marking an irreversible turning point. William confronted the harsh reality head-on. He understood the pain of separation, but he also understood that maintaining a state of limbo would only further hurt those closest to him and weaken the foundation entrusted to him by the king. He could not continue to gamble on a distant possibility of reconciliation while neglecting his responsibility to protect the present. King Charles, in a moment of choked emotion, likened this to closing a door that should have been left slightly ajar. But William responded with the steadfastness of a true leader. That door was no longer a passageway, but a gap through which instability could enter. He closed it not with anger, but with the necessary composure for all to move forward together. Princess Anne reminded us of a harsh truth: an institution cannot be led by vague hopes of mending emotional wounds. William was putting his education into practice, prioritizing organizational stability over personal feelings, even if it meant leaving silent scars. Catherine, with her keen insight and empathy, affirmed that the language of this statement was entirely transparent. It contained no aggression. It simply established a new reality. When King Charles concluded the meeting with his trust in his son's judgment, the burden of history seemed to have been transferred. The communiqué will be released at 7:48 a.m. tomorrow, ending any lingering doubts. Precisely at 7:48 a.m. on December 2nd, the official statement was released from Kensington Palace, permanently sealing all avenues of return. In California, amidst the dim twilight, the message arrived like a silent shockwave. It was not the language of bureaucracy, but a direct verdict from an older brother. Silence enveloped the space as this reality was revealed. An insurmountable line had been drawn, a decisive judgment whose intensity no one could have foreseen. Meanwhile, in London, the monarchy's media and legal apparatus operated with absolute efficiency to handle the waves of public opinion from the very first hour. Lara Flynn. Boyle's journey is not merely a story of physical transformation, but a valuable lesson in the philosophy of limits on the path to pursuing beauty. It shows us that in the quest to reclaim youth, one can inadvertently lose the most precious part of their identity. Her story offers a profound lesson in accepting and cherishing the traces of time, for they are what give a person depth. Lara serves as a reminder that the pinnacle of beauty does not lie in flawless perfection, but in authenticity and harmony with the natural order. Once a dazzling icon of intelligence and allure in working girl Melanie Griffith entered the world of fame, carrying all the expectations of the public. Yet behind her high-profile marriages and the scrutinizing gaze of Hollywood, an invisible fear of fading began to grow. To maintain her position among other leading ladies and famous husbands, she inadvertently entered a relentless race with beauty-preserving methods. Decades of continuous interventions gradually built an artificial. This was no longer a pause or a lingering sulk. It was an end. By midday, the silence from the palace had become the final answer. The matter was officially closed. The future of the woman across the ocean would now unfold entirely separate from the orbit of the monarchy. William, having made the most difficult decision of his leadership career, had charted a new course for decades to come. As the winter light faded over London, a new reality began to envelop Meghan Markle's life. The illusion of a tomorrow where time could heal the cracks had completely vanished. William had not merely closed a door, he had declared that path no longer existed. Instead of running away, Melanie Griffith chose a path of courage few in Hollywood dare to take, acknowledging past mistakes and embarking on a journey to rescue her face. She sought out top specialists to undo the excessive interventions, striving to reclaim the natural fragments that remained. While she could not turn back the clock to her youthful beauty, the positive changes that followed stand as a testament to extraordinary resilience. Her story serves as a valuable case study showing that aesthetic pursuits are not a one-way street, and there is no longer any opportunity to reposition oneself as someone who can return when circumstances change, nor any suggestion of reconciliation if the organization accepts flexibility. The future king has turned his judgment into a historical document, something no media campaign can reverse. This is a conflict between modern individual vision and immutable traditional structures. When an individual refuses to compromise and an institution does not collapse, a definitive separation is inevitable. Looking back at the whole affair, we realize that sometimes the kindest thing to do is not to cling to false hope, but to accept reality. Instead of a fulfilling outcome as promised by glowing advertisements, she inadvertently became a victim of techniques lacking the necessary empathy and medical expertise. A harsh intervention on her facial structure caused the once-admired architectural beauty to collapse, leaving irreversible marks on her skin and natural features. By 2026, reflecting on Elsa's journey, one cannot help but be stunned by the extreme contrast. Though she still lives in wealth and prestige, her face has become a mask of sorrow, where the flexible expression, the quiet pain of a woman unable to recognize herself in the mirror, is a modern tragedy where material wealth cannot compensate for the loss of personal identity. Elsa Patton's story is not merely a celebrity headline, it is a powerful educational lesson on the limits of aesthetic intervention. It reminds us that behind every promised miracle lie risks capable of permanently stripping a person of confidence and happiness. Elsa courageously shared her suffering as a warning to the world: cherish the harmony of nature and remain mindful of the temptations of art. With the door permanently sealed, a new, mysterious chapter officially opens. Is this verdict a necessary liberation, or merely the beginning of new storms? The ultimate truth always lies in the hidden corners that history has yet to uncover. Will this decisive action truly bring peace to the dynasty? Share your thoughts in the comments below, so we can unravel the mystery together. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to avoid missing more shocking cases and hidden truths. Thank you for joining us.
We're hearing from the convicted sex trafficker and accomplice of Jeffrey Epstein in a newly released interview with the Department of Justice.
Could a Hollywood star step into the royal family by pure fate, or is there a sophisticated network of connections orchestrated behind the scenes? Welcome back. Today, we're putting Meghan Markle under the microscope of unsolved theories. I'll be connecting the dots from various sources, but keep in mind this content is strictly for reference, based on theories and unverified speculation. We are exploring this through an objective analytical lens. Don't just watch, join the conversation. Drop a 1 in the comments if you're curious, or a 0 if you're skeptical. Hit like and subscribe right now to join me as we uncover the truth hidden behind the veil. Let's dive in. It all began not with what the public could see, but with what had been hidden for years. Like a storm that simmers silently invisible, yet causing unexpected changes, Ghislaine Maxwell's testimony lifted the veil on a previously unknown secret. The person we least expected was Meghan Markle. Not an outsider, not a stranger, but a part of the story, a part of a profound encounter within a world of power that no one dared to touch. Many believe that Meghan Markle's story didn't simply begin with her fateful meeting with Prince Harry in 2016. Theories have surfaced about a past that goes back much further, where connections remain hidden within sealed records. Could there have been encounters within the circles of the world's most powerful elite before she ever became a duchess? Certain unofficial sources have mentioned Meghan's name in debates surrounding globally influential figures. But where does the truth actually lie, or are these merely coincidences woven into a larger narrative cue? Before stepping into Buckingham Palace, Meghan was already a fixture in the entertainment world. However, theorists and analysts pose a compelling question. Was her network of connections far more extensive than what we saw on screen? Speculation suggests she may have moved within elite social circles frequented by figures such as Prince Andrew or other even more controversial individuals. If these relationships truly existed, what role did they play in her journey toward the royal family? Or is it all just baseless conjecture built from fragmented pieces of a puzzle? This is not simply a quest for truth. It's a journey into the heart of secrets the world has deliberately tried to erase. If this story is true, things will never be the same. It means Meghan Markle didn't just stumble into the royal world by chance. She didn't just enter Buckingham Palace from the outside, but through unexpected connections through the hidden corners that the monarchy has tried to conceal for years. To understand Meghan's journey, we must begin with lesser-known events, quiet relationships, secret meetings, and corridors where fame was less important than connections. According to several reliable sources, Meghan was no stranger to the elite surrounding Prince Andrew. Not a friend or royal guest, but a frequent presence at exclusive gatherings. In the early 2000s and 2010s, Prince Andrew frequently attended social events with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, participating in charity parties and private galas not accessible to everyone. And in those private settings, Meghan was reportedly seen not yet a duchess, not yet a household name, but an aspiring actress seeking opportunities in a world where connections mattered more than a resume. The key here isn't the romantic relationship between Meghan and Andrew, but rather the level of closeness that allowed her to witness the hidden worlds behind the spotlight, the unspoken rules of high society. Sources indicate Meghan was introduced to individuals who could easily move between Hollywood, New York, and the royal family. More importantly, she was in contact with people closely connected to Andrew and Maxwell. These weren't sensational news stories, not front-page narratives, but rather a quiet presence behind-the-scenes details that would later become crucial pieces of the puzzle when Virginia Roberts asked Meghan to testify in the Epstein case. If Andrew paved the way into these circles of power, there was another figure who played an even more significant role in this story, Sarah Ferguson, Prince Andrew's ex-wife. Fergie has always had close ties to the royal family, not only through her children, but also through secret stories from the past. However, according to inside sources, Fergie played a much larger role in bringing Meghan closer to the royal family from the beginning than the public knows. Fergie and Meghan met before the royal wedding at events Meghan attended. She was close to Epstein and Maxwell and knew influential people who would later have close ties to members of the royal family. Remarkably, Fergie wasn't just an outsider. She saw Meghan's world, understanding the relationships Meghan had before other members of the royal family even knew her name. And it was Fergie, with her extensive network of connections, who played a crucial role in helping Meghan access opportunities that few could have imagined. Meghan's story is not a series of random events. From secret encounters at exclusive events to contact with people closely connected to Epstein and Maxwell, everything led to an unexpected meeting at Soho House. That's where she first met Prince Harry, in a luxurious and classy setting, surrounded by influential people where everything seemed prearranged. Meghan Markle's story, from her early days as an aspiring actress to becoming part of the royal family, is not a story of chance. It's a journey built on relationships, secret encounters, and worlds that only those with a special connection can see. Meghan Markle's story is not simply a real-life fairy tale, but a testament to a carefully planned and courageous journey. What do you think of Meghan Markle? An intelligent woman who knows how to seize opportunities, or are there other hidden aspects to her? If you are impressed by her connections and influence, please leave a comment. Number 2, if you have a different opinion or feel unconvinced, please leave a comment. Number 5, don't forget to press like and subscribe to the channel book today so you don't miss out on insightful videos, analyzing influential figures, and revealing previously undisclosed secrets, e.g. In a short period of time, Meghan Markle has undergone a dramatic transformation from a Hollywood actress to a globally influential figure. She has not only entered the world of royalty, but also become a humanitarian activist, a future duchess, And all of this has led the public to question who helped her achieve this transformation, who opened the doors and who guided her to these important steps. Such a rapid rise certainly couldn't have happened without the help of powerful hands. According to leaked information from insiders, Meghan's backer may not just be Soho House, a prominent address in the upper class, but also much older and more influential networks that Maxwell himself mentioned in his testimony before those pages were redacted. But why did Meghan's name appear in those redacted files? The answer may not only concern herself, but also protect those who brought her into this world of power. Influential men's sponsors and prominent figures from Hollywood, New York, London, and even those with close ties to royalty. Meghan, though only an actress, if she had ever been in these high society settings, could have witnessed events and heard stories that would have been embarrassing for those at the top of power. And that's why all the efforts to conceal her name weren't to protect her, but to protect the powerful forces that created the opportunity for her. Meghan wasn't a threat. She was a witness who could shed light on stories they didn't want exposed. This made things even more tense because, according to those close to her, Meghan not only carried memories and connections she wasn't seeking, but stories that could cause trouble for those in power if they fell into the wrong hands. B. She was there, she saw and understood what was going on in those rooms of power. When someone like Meghan rises so quickly, another force emerges to stop her. That force is Prince William, who has drawn a clear line. He is not only protecting his family, but also the monarchy from inappropriate relationships from Epstein's past. And this is why Prince William doesn't allow Meghan to return to the royal inner circle, not because of public controversies, but because of the unwanted relationships and connections she has had. When Prince Andrew attempted to attend a ceremony at Balmoral, William confronted him directly with the situation, either him or me. Ultimately, Andrew had to leave. This clearly shows that William no longer tolerated the presence of those connected to Epstein, or those deeply involved in the royal family's world. For William, Meghan was not just a stranger, but a crucial witness who could shed light on stories the royal family was trying to erase. He wasn't against Harry, but against a past that Harry had brought into the royal family, along with its indelible shadows. This story begins at high society gatherings on luxurious yachts, where hushed conversations and secret deals were made under the glittering lights. It was in these places that Meghan first stepped into the world of power that she would later understand better than ever. L. Meghan Markle's story from Hollywood actress to Duchess is not a tale of chance, but a journey woven from hidden relationships and events the world wasn't ready to confront. Meghan's story isn't just about sudden prominence, but also about unexpected encounters in intimate settings no one could have imagined. Before becoming part of the royal family, Meghan had already reached into high society spaces few could access. Late-night parties, secret meetings, and private conversations held in the inner chambers of the elite, where connections, power, and finances can change the world. In all these moments, Meghan was more than just a young, ambitious woman seeking her opportunity. She was present at pivotal moments in the world of power, and these events shaped her public image. But Meghan's story isn't just about relationships. It's also about the decisions she had to make in her early years in the world of power. Despite being just a Hollywood actress, Meghan faced temptations no one could have imagined. She not only needed to navigate a competitive and scheming world, but also had to learn how to manage complex relationships to survive within a powerful social network. The decisions she made during those years profoundly influenced the path she chose. But did Meghan truly understand the full implications of these relationships' consequences she couldn't see immediately? Once she entered the royal world, Meghan faced not only public scrutiny but also the calculating and suspicious eyes of those who had long been in that world. The relationships she had built, the old friends she had met, all became part of this challenging new life. While many members of royalty entered public life at a young age, Meghan didn't have that advantage. She had to learn to adjust to a world where rules and discretion were paramount. But could Meghan maintain these relationships without jeopardizing her own future? Throughout her journey, Meghan Markle has always faced a crucial choice to continue her ambitious path or to sacrifice a part of her past to better suit her new role in the royal family. But those choices weren't always easy. Meghan wasn't just a celebrity in the crowd. She was a figure surrounded by secrets that perhaps only she truly understood. The nature of the relationships and personal motivations behind these closed doors could force her to confront difficult decisions, choices that could shape her future within a royal family that is not easily swayed by change. A world where introductions can change everything. Their appearances are not just formalities, but the key to unlocking the doors of power. Favors and assistance are not given openly, but are exchanged through glances, subtle handshakes, and unspoken words. In that space, young women are not only noticed, but also challenged, tested, and shaped by the names they meet and the opportunities they are given. Imagine the scene: melodious music playing, the scent of luxurious perfume wafting through the air, the clinking of glasses echoing in the warm atmosphere, and a girl named Hoa standing under the warm lights, completely unaware that the faces she meets that night will determine her future. And at that very moment, Meghan is no longer just an ordinary Hollywood actress. She became someone that powerful figures recognized, someone they not only kept an eye on, but also secretly courted and supported, moving her from one circle to another. These steps were not merely career advancements, but sophisticated maneuvers that propelled her to success. Then one day, when she met Prince Harry, she didn't come as an outsider. She entered his life as someone who had witnessed the very world he had spent his life trying to protect and avoid. And that is why the omitted passages in Maxwell's testimony are so important. Virginia Roberts requested Meghan's testimony not simply because she was a prominent young duchess, but because she possessed knowledge and connections that held the key to deeply hidden secrets within the world of power. Maxwell's statements caused a stir as they indicated that Meghan was not dangerous because of what she did, but because of what she knew. She held secret stories that no one wanted exposed. And as voices continue to rise from prison cells, from the courts, and from secret files, the storm that began to build from that luxury yacht is slowly becoming an unstoppable flood. The question now isn't whether Meghan's past will be exposed. The question is this world truly ready to confront what lies hidden in her past? The secrets quietly waiting to be revealed will change how we perceive not only Meghan, but also the hidden networks of power she was once a part of. And when the truths concealed for so many years are brought to light, things will never be the same again. Every secret has an expiration date, and the blacked-out text cannot forever conceal the brewing storm. Is this a fairy tale of love or a meticulously orchestrated move from the shadows of power circles? The answer may lie within what you just perceived. Do you choose to believe in destiny or predestination? Leave a word below to express your opinion. Subscribe and turn on notifications to join us in unraveling the next pieces that they want you to forget. Like if you believe that light always finds its way. Thank you for being here. The truth continues. See you in the next video and 2026 began with an eerie silence, but behind the doors of Buckingham Palace, a silent power struggle was underway. When King Charles III faced health challenges, the question was, is Queen Camilla becoming the true helmsman of the dynasty? Is this true resilience or merely an elaborate charade to protect the throne? What do you think? Comment number 1 if you believe in resilience. Mark 0 if you suspect this is a staged event. Remember to like and subscribe to discover the secrets of the British monarchy. The investigation has begun. If we closely observe the royal family's recent actions, we see a subtle shift. The most powerful figure seems to appear less frequently in front of the cameras. Instead, there are brief announcements about treatment. Analysts are asking, when the lighthouse no longer shines as brightly as before, who is steering the ship of the kingdom? In the documentary Behind Closed Doors, Queen Camilla offers haunting glimpses into her first year on the throne. She speaks of cycles of trauma and efforts to heal society. But the public noticed a small detail on the Isle of Man in March 2024. When asked about the king's health, she chose to confront the issue rather than avoid it. Some argue that her public statements about obstacles in managing the king's health were not simply a medical update. Could this be a psychological stepping stone to gradually acclimate the queen's dominant presence in major decisions? Another perspective is more humane. It could be the outburst of a partner after months of bearing the burden of pressure. When the royal robes become too heavy in the face of nature's challenges, are those words a reassuring message or a subtle plea for help regarding a harsher truth unfolding within? The contrast between the healthy appearance she describes and the king's restricted activities creates a logical loophole. If everything is fine, why has the balance of power in the palace shifted so dramatically? The contrast between the healthy appearance she describes and the king's restricted activities creates a logical loophole. If everything was fine, why did the balance of power in the palace shift so dramatically? Are we witnessing the truth or only what is allowed to be seen? Are the Queen's heartfelt confessions a shield protecting the dynasty or a key to unlocking a new chapter we were unprepared for? To understand Queen Camilla's current position, we must turn back the pages of controversial history. In the minds of many, her journey to the throne was not a path paved with roses, but a liberation from the ghosts of the past. Whispers about the events of the previous decade still echoed, making her legitimacy a major question mark. However, history always takes unexpected turns. Could someone who was once at the center of public opinion become the most reliable anchor for the dynasty in times of crisis? If you observe closely, you'll notice a subtle shift. The most powerful figure seems to appear less frequently in front of the cameras. Instead, there are brief announcements about the treatment process. When the lighthouse no longer shines as brightly as before, who is truly steering the ship of the kingdom? In the documentary Behind Closed Doors, the Queen mentioned the cycle of trauma. But observers are paying attention to the detail at the Isle of Man. She chose to confront the issue directly rather than avoid it when discussing the king's health. Could this be a psychological stepping stone to allow the public to gradually become accustomed to the Queen's dominant presence in major decisions? Or was it simply a humane outburst from a life partner after days of bearing the burden of pressure? The contrast between the king's outwardly optimistic demeanor and his restricted activities creates a logical loophole. Are we witnessing the truth or only what is allowed to be seen? Prince William and Princess Catherine, symbols of steadfastness, they serve as pillars of steel upholding public trust. Prince Harry. A message from afar, bridging geographical distances with genuine understanding. Princess Anne, the younger sister who is believed to be bearing the heaviest burden of grief over her brother's misfortunes. But just when the world believed the royal family had established a solid defense line, a new crack appeared right at the epicenter. In November 2024, an unprecedented event occurred: a mass absence. Queen Camilla unexpectedly canceled important ceremonies at Westminster Abbey. The official announcement stated a lung infection and the need for rest as advised by her doctor. However, with the king also facing a rigorous treatment regimen, this absence inevitably raised sharp questions from the public. Is this merely a medical coincidence, or a sign of a system being overwhelmed by immense pressure? The fact that the Duchess of Gloucester had to replace her at important diplomatic events sparked a wave of conspiracy theories. Was the true state of the royal court being concealed to avoid a widespread crisis of confidence? With both of the palace's highest symbols facing physical challenges simultaneously, the future of the monarchy presented an unprecedented governance dilemma. The velvet curtains of Buckingham Palace remained drawn, yet the scripts of the future continued to be written by the world's curiosity. Are we witnessing a monarchy striving for transformation, or are we seeing the most fragile moments of a 1,000-year institution? Are we truly observing the breaking point of this millennium-old establishment? If you feel yes and believe a major shift or an underlying upheaval is being prepared, please leave a number 2 in the comments. If no and you believe this is simply a brief rest as announced, leave a number 5. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe right now so you don't miss our upcoming deep dive analyses. In the world of symbols, presence is power. But what happens when two of a nation's most revered symbols simultaneously face a health crisis? Observers are speculating about a worrying scenario: a kingdom without a direct leader. Queen Camilla's absence following the king's announcement has created a terrifying power vacuum. Remember the dark shadow that fell over the Princess of Wales, Catherine, earlier this year. Although she declared victory in her silent battle in September, its aftermath remains a grim reminder of the monarchy's fragility in the face of the trials of nature. Is Buckingham experiencing a bigger health crisis than what's being reported in the press? To understand Camilla's position, one must turn back the pages of her controversial history. Her journey was not a bed of roses, but a triumph over the ghosts of the past. However, history always takes a different turn. Can someone who was once at the center of public opinion become the most reliable anchor in times of trouble? History is the most honest mirror. In the 1950s, King George VI kept his health a closely guarded secret to protect the nation's image, leading to shock when the funeral bells rang. In contrast, Princess Margaret chose to publicly acknowledge her decline, bridging the gap with the common people. Buckingham Palace is currently torn between these two strategies: security for stability or transparency for empathy. In November 2024, an unprecedented event occurred: a mass absence. When both the king and queen had to temporarily leave the stage due to health reasons, an astonishing power pause occurred. Camilla's dedication to organizations such as Macmillan, it's not just a ceremonial role, but an inner empathy. But when the torchbearer also faces the cold winds of exhaustion, who will be there to give her strength? Perhaps these rifts are the strongest glue binding the royal family and the people together. We stand before a new chapter in British royal history. where the lines between privacy and official duty are blurred more than ever. Apologies for absences, optimistic announcements of recovery, and even veiled silences, all are creating a multifaceted picture. Where does the truth lie behind the closed doors of the palace? Is it a dynasty resiliently healing itself, or the beginning of an inevitable power transition, the tip of which we have only just begun to see? Our investigation goes beyond dry medical reports, delving into an unprecedented psychological shift. Queen Camilla, once a figure at the center of controversy, is becoming a symbol of empathy. Why did she choose to confront serious illnesses like cancer and osteoporosis with such determination? This is explored in the organization's coffee chat sessions. Macmillan, or those quiet visits to the laboratories, were not just a ritual. It was her way of humanizing the crown. As she confronted her own lung infection, the public no longer saw a distant monarch, but a human being battling the limits of her physical being. Could it be that these rifts in health are the strongest glue binding the royal family and ordinary people together? One notable hypothesis is being discussed by international observers. Is healthcare transparency a new diplomatic tactic? Beyond the borders of England, major powers are looking to Buckingham as a model of adaptation. The public disclosure of the hidden aspects of royal health is not merely an act of honesty, but a far-reaching policy reform. Under the king's approval, a new wave of health awareness is spreading, promising a comprehensive transformation of the national healthcare system. But consider the perseverance of the leading couple. King Charles III, a guardian of the environment and sustainability, has dedicated his life to preparing for a greener era. And now, as he and the Queen face personal challenges, they are writing a chapter of unwavering determination together. Their legacy is not just about laws, but about the ability to modernize an ancient institution in its most fragile moments. We have explored the hidden corners of the palace, from the secrets of the past to the transparency of the present. Queen Camilla and King Charles III stand before a stage larger than ever before, where every step, every breath, and every announcement is scrutinized under the microscope of history. Light is gradually returning behind the stone walls of Buckingham, but the questions remain. Is this transparency a voluntary choice or a necessity of the times? After the storms of health issues, in what direction will a more human monarchy lead the world? The truth may have layers we have yet to uncover, and time will be the fairest judge. King Charles III and Queen Camilla are standing before a stage larger than ever before, where every step they take will be scrutinized under the microscope of history. Light is gradually returning behind Buckingham Palace's stone walls, but the question remains, is this transparency a voluntary choice or a necessity of the times? After the health storms, in what direction will a more humane monarchy lead the world? And what do you see in Queen Camilla's announcement? A much-needed reassurance or a signal of a major change about to begin? Is this change an opportunity for the British monarchy to connect more closely with the public, or a way to cope with inevitable challenges? Where power lies not only in the throne, but also in how leadership is accepted and understood, is Buckingham experimenting with a new model of leadership. A model that is based not only on power, but also on connection and empathy. It's time to ask ourselves, will this transparency become the norm in the royal world? Or is it merely a stepping stone to a broader transfer of power? With constant shifts in health and power, is the United Kingdom facing an unprecedented power restructuring? As the health of royal icons like King Charles and Queen Camilla gradually declines, is it time for the next generation, such as Prince William and Princess Catherine, to prepare to take over? These questions are not only important for the royal family, but also for the nation as a whole, as they will determine the direction and image of a changing monarchy. Looking deeper into public psychology, could disclosing health status be a tactic to maintain public trust? Is the British monarchy trying to demonstrate that transparency during difficult times is crucial to maintaining public respect and trust? Or is it simply part of a long-term strategy to consolidate its power in a world that increasingly demands openness and integrity from symbols of power? A major question is being asked: can this dynasty maintain stability while facing unprecedented challenges? As the heads of the royal family begin to show signs of weakness, can the dynasty find strength from within, not just from political power, but also from understanding patience and resilience? All will be revealed in the coming months as crucial decisions are made by this powerful duo. King Charles III and Queen Camilla stand before a stage larger than ever before, where every step is scrutinized under the microscope of history. Light is gradually returning behind the stone walls, but the question remains: is this transparency a voluntary choice or a necessity of the times after the storms? In what direction will a more humane dynasty lead the world? What do you see in Queen Camilla's announcement? A much-needed reassurance, or a signal of a major change about to happen? Share your thoughts below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next secrets of the royal family. Recently, a hypothesis has given many people pause. Why have priceless treasures like Queen Victoria's brooch or Princess Diana's pearl necklace suddenly vanished, leaving only vague notes behind? Some unverified sources even suggest this could be the sign of a cross-border underground network, where absolute trust in supreme authority becomes a fatal flaw. Comment 1 if you believe this is a battle to protect heritage. Comment 0 if you think the secret runs even deeper. Like and subscribe now to join us in decoding the architecture of power and the buried truths. Beneath the gilded domes, where time seems to stand still due to the impenetrable security of the British palaces, lie treasures measured not just in carats, but in millennia of history. They are symbols of an immutable system of power. However, a shocking theory is emerging: can a fortress of faith be breached from within? When routine inventory checks, which were once merely procedural, turn into tense reconciliation sessions, an invisible truth begins to emerge. Everything began like a cold draft slipping through the corridors of Kensington Palace. Iconic objects, the jade brooch of Queen Victoria, the legendary pearl necklace once gifted by a Middle Eastern king to the late Princess Diana, now existed only as vague notes in archival records. When artifacts that were meant to appear at national events suddenly remained absent for years, the explanations of restoration or on loan began to reveal troubling gaps in logic. Amid the erosion of traditional values, Prince William took an unprecedented step. Bypassing official channels, he turned to Simon Harcourt, a specialist in identifying security vulnerabilities, a quiet operator who dealt exclusively with the cracks beneath the surface of high society. In a discreet room where daylight was smothered by heavy curtains, an investigation grounded in historical data analysis began. The notebook revealed more than missing items. It exposed a systemic collapse. Harcourt scrutinized decades of records, tracing the faintest clues on clasps and cuts. In a system of absolute control, is this a simple error or a dark internal shift? It begs the question: is heritage eternal, or can everything simply be replaced? Simon Harcourt's investigation no longer stopped at hypotheses on paper. He understood that in the world of national treasures, every gemstone carries its own distinct genetic code, its cut, its clarity, even the way it is mounted into its metal setting, and at a discreet auction in Paris accessible only to encrypted entities, a diamond necklace surfaced that through it was the ultimate silent witness, a custom clasp matching 1970s records perfectly. This shattered the palace's facade, yet the true horror wasn't the value but the systemic method behind it. Harcourt uncovered a sophisticated legal camouflage, where royal treasures were deliberately masked with vague labels like European provenance or 19th century relics. A cross-border network emerged, traces stretching from Geneva and Antwerp to Dubai, perfect buffer zones for the movement of high-value assets, and a strange commonality appeared as well. Despite passing through multiple auction houses, every trail led back to the same legal representative and a single luxury logistics firm, making it clear this was not an isolated theft, but a deliberate historical purge orchestrated by an entity with both access to the royal vaults and the authority to approve transfers without triggering any alarm systems. As the list of displaced fragments grew longer, Prince William faced a harsh reality. What was being lost was not jewelry, but entire chapters of a nation. Harcourt identified a fatal flaw in the security system: absolute trust in supreme authority. When a signature from the highest level appeared on documents authorizing the removal of artifacts for restoration or diplomatic exhibition, every layer of security automatically stood down, and the pursuit shifted from objects to people. In a dimly lit cafe in Antwerp, a veteran gemstone appraiser revealed a crucial detail. 2 years earlier, he had been asked to evaluate stones of regal beauty for an anonymous client. The intermediary was a figure with impeccably British mannerisms, yet who spoke French with effortless fluency during confidential calls, and the stones the expert identified were precisely the missing pieces from the palace collection. See, the trail was no longer made up of lifeless numbers. It had begun to take the shape of a specific individual. Within a power structure built on some of the strictest rules in the world, what is truly more frightening: the enemy from outside, or the betrayal embedded within the very procedures designed to safeguard trust? When the symbols of the past are quietly sold off, does the true value of the crown lie in its diamonds, or in a loyalty that has begun to fracture? In the world of heritage artifacts, human memory may fade, but expert appraisers do not. In a quiet, secluded corner, a former gemstone specialist who had spent his entire life reading the character of crystals provided a piece of destiny. 3 of the missing stones from the list were accurately identified by him through photographs. The trail lay not only in the material but also in the behavioral portrait of the transporter. He spoke impeccable English, yet transacted in French, a sophisticated operator. He wasn't a thief, he was a logistics architect. Suspicion soon fell on Charles Everley. As a former senior aide, Everley held the master keys. He knew every artifact's history and the palace's secret security protocols. Everley's departure into the shadows 3 years earlier and his re-emergence as a private heritage consultant created a strikingly alarming correlation. During a calculated meeting at an exclusive London club, where privacy was the ultimate principle, Harcourt witnessed the moment of a cracked facade. With just a subtle mention of the legendary sapphire ring, Everley's calm gaze shifted into a cold, calculating precision. It was the reflex of someone holding a secret the entire world was seeking. The investigative analysis entered a critical phase as Harcourt cross-referenced 3 independent streams of data movement schedules, auction logs, and vault access records. The data revealed that Everly was not acting alone. On trips to gray financial hubs like Geneva and Monaco, he was frequently accompanied by a figure enjoying diplomatic immunity, a privilege allowing luggage and shipments to pass through any border unchecked. As the layers of fog were peeled back, the system pointed to a single convergence, an entity with the authority to sign decrees, the influence to conceal vulnerabilities, and the proximity to render all suspicion inconceivable. That entity was Queen Camilla. This hypothesis raises a staggering question. Could a core member of the royal family be involved in the self-dismantling of their own dynasty's treasures? How do you assess Queen Camilla's role in this enigmatic architecture type 2? If you are impressed by her quiet power, or 5, if you believe in the eternal preservation of the monarchy. Like and subscribe now to not miss the moment we unravel the final links in this dramatic journey of power. With unrestricted access and the ability to legitimize jewelry shipments for diplomatic purposes, Camilla possessed a unique position to operate a system of asset transfers that no one dared question. For Prince William, this was no longer a simple security investigation. This was a crisis of integrity of the crown. When a security system is built on absolute trust, isn't the greatest risk that this trust might be used as a tool for personal gain? If this evidence is true, is this a single act of self-interest or a sign of a deep rift in the power structure we have come to trust? Will you choose to protect tradition or expose the truth, even if that truth might bring down an entire monument? Every systemic investigation reaches a critical point where the data is no longer just lifeless numbers, but becomes a living entity. The indictment of history. Over the course of 2 weeks, Harcourt conducted a multi-tiered verification process. Witnesses at European auction houses posing as appraisal experts revealed a crucial detail. A woman with an air of utmost nobility was directly involved in the process. Revaluation, royal relics. The act of removing gloves to open the velvet box containing the Victorian jade brooch was not merely a noble gesture. It was the moment the truth was revealed under the lights of the private appraisal rooms. When the leather-bound file was placed on Prince William's desk, the space seemed compressed by the weight of systemic betrayal. The chosen location was the Blue Room at Buckingham Palace, a space symbolic of silence and eternal secrets. Here, Queen Camilla's composure confronted the cold resolve of the future monarch. As the file was pushed across the desk, a scenario unfolded of heritage erosion. It has been exposed. Camilla didn't deny the meetings, cloaking them in diplomatic protocols and secure restoration. But when pressed for records, silence followed. This was no longer a family dispute. It was a war between sacred tradition and cold pragmatism. Though she offered no confession, the balance of power had shifted forever. Camilla exited with a stoic face, yet her silence confirmed an irreparable rift. Immediately, a shadow shift swept through the palace. Sudden absences and nervous aids signaled the start of power isolation. The system was rapidly closing ranks to shield its core from the inevitable media storm. Prince William faces a choice that could be life or death for the monarchy. Revealing the truth could shatter an image built over centuries, but remaining silent would mean compromising on historical values. In the world of royalty, sometimes the unspoken words possess the most devastating power. Jewelry can be recovered or replaced with perfect replicas, but ethical standards. Once a system has been compromised, it can never be restored to its original state. When national treasures are no longer kept in vaults, but become pawns in clandestine deals, are we witnessing the end of an era of trust? In your opinion, does the integrity of a monarchy lie in the glittering diamonds on its crown, or in the transparency of those who wear it? Is silence the best way to protect the monarchy, or will that very silence be a poison that gnaws away at the future? In the architecture of power, hesitation is sometimes more dangerous than a direct attack. CE. Prince William faces a difficult dilemma regarding system integrity. Should the dynasty protect its false image of unity or undergo a painful surgical procedure to salvage its core values? When trusted advisors are summoned in secret, a systemic analysis reveals that silence is no longer a shield, but complicity. The international media, with the keen instincts of the digital age, have begun to notice the implications. White space in Queen Camilla's schedule. The unexplained diplomatic flights and absences from traditional events created an uncontrollable wave of public opinion. Any hope of a mistake vanished when the final report from Zurich arrived. The emerald bracelet, a symbol of continuity dating back to the Empress Dowager's time, had been discovered in a private vault. This was no longer a hypothesis. This was a illegal asset supply chain. It was finalized. The coincidence of time, place, and approval signatures led William to an irreversible decision. He understood that to protect the crown of the future, he had to confront the harsh reality of the present. That morning, London was shrouded in a gray haze, signaling a constitutional change. William did not choose personal confrontation. He chose to restructuring of authority. The statement was drafted without directly making criminal accusations, which could have brought down the regime, but focused on redefining the responsibility for heritage preservation. By stripping people of their titles and public roles in the name of protecting national assets, William orchestrated a silent revolution. X. This was an unprecedented precedent, a direct successor eliminating flawed links in the power structure, even before officially ascending the throne. In the palace press room, the silence was so heavy that one could hear the clicking of waiting cameras. When William stepped onto the podium, he was not just a son, but a heritage protector. We are administering justice to prevent a major crisis of trust. The words spoken will not only change Camilla's position, but also alter the way the British monarchy operates in the 21st century. Peaceful courtesy has vanished, giving way to an era of strict scrutiny and unbridgeable boundaries. In the battle between kinship and national duty, what is the price of justice? Is removing a high-ranking figure to protect the crown jewels a courageous act to save the regime, or the beginning of a deeper rift we cannot foresee? If you were faced with that choice, would you protect your family's secrets or the heritage of a nation? Prince William's voice, echoing in the press conference room, was not just the voice of an heir, but of the echo of a system defending itself. He wasn't talking about lost gemstones. He was talking about contract of trust between the monarchy and the public. The decree was brief, but carried the weight of 1,000 years of history. Camilla has officially been stripped of her title as queen. B. Her public role ended, and her ceremonial duties were reassigned. This was not merely a personal punishment, but a transformation. Re-establish order. William affirmed a supreme principle. In a monarchy, no individual is allowed to stand above the integrity of the national heritage. In less than 5 minutes, the world witnessed a historical rift. While social media exploded like a digital earthquake with theories and astonishment inside the palace, the atmosphere was eerily silent. The corridors of Buckingham and Kensington are now shrouded in apprehension. Portraits are changed, seating charts are redrawn, a process that has been repeated. Erase system memory. It unfolded silently but fiercely. Camilla's discreet disappearance into the shadows of history is proof that when trust is broken, even the most powerful entities can vanish into the mists of oblivion. The incident plunged the British monarchy into an unprecedented territory. International analysts consider this the most decisive action of a future king, a powerful message to all generations. Power always comes with absolute responsibility. The palace security system is not only tightened by physical barriers, but also by a new transparent operating system. Every access log to the archives is digitized, and every movement of treasures must go through multiple layers of approval. The scandal, though a painful scar, has become a catalyst for the royal family to upgrade itself in the face of internal risks. D. Simon Harcourt returned to the shadows of the security consulting world, leaving behind a dossier whose full truth will likely never be revealed to the public. Because some truths possess